going to attempt to convert you, right, to cash value, not having enough. So this is it right here. You learn how to destroy these 5 mistakes. That's a leg up on writing 10K personal, because when you double digit recruit, when you successfully recruit people and you get in the field, you've got to know how to destroy these right here. Because guess what? Now you're showing your new teammates success. Now you're showing them, I know what to do. And guess what happens in return? They'll go recruit and they'll get on more appointments, right? This is how we write 10K personal. This is it right here. So learn how to destroy the 5 mistakes of life insurance. Treating life insurance as a luxury, not a necessity. Relying on group. Cash value, the biggest ripoff ever. Purchasing term from a cash value company and not having enough. This is big, right? We'll go more in detail on one of the trainings on Saturday, but these 5 right here, right? This is what Shaq taught us, to learn how to destroy these 5. All right, qualifying. This is important. It's nothing like getting on an appointment and it's one-legged and you're looking at your trainee like, daggum well, this is not a qualified appointment. 80% of the reason why you write lifestyles is being in the right market, credibility of the person you're training, so important. Learn how to qualify, you all. When you're going through the Fast Start money making session, right, and you're getting their names and numbers, go through that macho, thoroughly go through that macho, right? They say they have children. Are they grown? Right? Because if they're a 5-pointer, but their children are all grown, it's really, they don't think it's a necessity to have life insurance because my children are already grown, right? What do we hear a lot of? I don't want to leave my family a lot of money. But if they have young children, they know that their income is important, because that 3-year-old, that 5-year-old, that newborn, that 1-year-old is depending on your income. You're like an ATM machine. We got to protect that income that's coming in. That's important. Fully qualify your appointments, 5-pointers. This is important, you all. This is so important, because here's the thing, right? I went on a one-legged appointment with a trainee yesterday. And afterwards, I made the trainee I think it was the day before yesterday. I made the trainee do half of the presentation once I found out it was one-legged, because it was one-legged and I wasn't happy, right? And then afterwards, I said, you see why we don't go on one-legged appointments? Because what happened? Oh, not right now. They didn't see the importance of having insurance. So that 5-pointers, the more pointers they have, the better. It works in our favor, right? Layup, right? We want a layup. We don't want to shoot 3-pointers. We're not Steph Curry. You want the layup. It's easier. It works in our favor when they have more pointers. They'll be more attentive. When Shaq came and sat with T and Shay, we were more attentive because we had insurance, right? I had insurance, had it on my son. T had nothing. So there's a red flag right there. We didn't know, right? We had a small child at the time. Right? We had a 401k, we had student loans, right? So we wanted to learn about financial services, life insurance, retirement, paying off our debt. Reminder, primary insured, job, and healthy, and have children. Those are the 3 biggest ones, you guys. They got to have a job. I threw healthy in there. Healthy is important, right? Sharzandra, who's on our team in Georgia, she just had someone pass away, 21 years old, with diabetes, you all. She went to the hospital, I think, to get her tonsils taken out or something of that nature. Ended up passing away, 21 years old with diabetes. They got to be healthy. And young children, because guess what? Again, if they have young children, they understand, right? Hopefully they do. If they don't understand that their children depend on their income, that's a whole nother issue. But those are the ones that we want to focus on. Right? 5-pointer definitely, but those are the ones we want to kind of narrow down. Qualifying your appointments is one of the biggest ways, right, to write 10K personal. Set the appointment right. Set the appointment right. So oftentimes, right, our trainees are like, oh, they already have insurance. They don't need it. They're good. That 3-way text, that feet thrower, that triangle offense. We got to get the trainees to understand that they're doing you a favor. And one of the questions I like to ask is this, right? When you're doing a Fast Start orientation and you go through, who are your best friends? If you text, call me, who would do it? Who would carry your casket, right? Those are people that would do you a favor, not people that would buy something from you. We got to get them to understand that, because that's the first thing they think about. Oh, we're going to get them to try to buy something. No. We're going to get them to do you a favor so you can see the presentation, so you can learn it. Right? Just like I've seen Boys in the Hood 50 million times. I sat in front of it, watched the movie. I know exactly what's going to happen before it happens. The same thing with seeing the presentation, right? Primarily it's for your training. Now, obviously, if there's a need, we want to fill that need, right? So we got to get them to understand, no, it's just doing you a favor. Get that out of your mind, right? No obligation. Also get them to understand we educate, prospects see value, and they move forward, right? My mom saw value. My mom did not understand life insurance. As pathetic as that is, no one taught her and she did not self-educate, right? My grandparents had whole life. My mom didn't have anything, but we went on an appointment. She was educated. She saw the need. She saw value. Boom, became a client. That's important. There is no obligation. We just want you to listen because this is for my training. I'm so excited, right? That's it. Once we get them to understand that and set that appointment right and not talk too much and throw up on the potential client, this works in our favor, right? I was telling a group of our teammates last night, we got to get them to understand this is for me. Put it on you. Take it off of them. We don't want them thinking we're coming in to sell you. You have to buy something from me. No, help me out. Do me a favor. I'm excited. No obligation. Put your checkbook away, right? Those are all the things that we want them to understand when we set the appointment. We don't want them thinking the other things, like, when you go to buy a car, they take your keys, right? You don't know where the person is that took your keys. They're trying to sell you something, right? They're trying to give you different options to buy a car. You're like, man, I've been here for 4 hours. No, we're not doing that, right? We want them to understand, listen, this is for Donald's training. However, if you see value in what it is that we do, we would love to earn your business. That's it. That's it. So getting your training in a mindset of setting that appointment through three-way text, FITO, or the triangle office. That's very important. Rapport. This is big, right? This is something I have to often tell myself. We've got to build rapport in the beginning of the appointment. Okay. This is important because we're not face to face. Typically, when you walk in someone's home, there's an introduction, there's a shake of the hands, there's the eye contact, they're checking you out head to toe, right? There's a dialogue there. We're just on Zoom. We pop up on Zoom, the presentation is up. We got to make sure we build rapport with the family before the presentation, right? We got to form them, family, occupation, recreational, motivation. Ask them some questions, get to know them, let them talk a little bit, because what happens is they will tell you a lot in the beginning, right, that you need to know as you go through the presentation. Very important, right? Shaq is really good at that. I remember him asking us T&I questions in the beginning, right? And just listening and just gathering information. So when you go through the presentation, you can use that information. Think about how big that is. That's so important, you all. That's how you get people to like and trust you, because you're listening. People like talking about themselves. We got to build that rapport in the beginning. That's important. Find something to compliment, right? I know we're online. Even if it's a small, your hair is beautiful. It's amazing. The shirt, the watch, what your makeup, whatever, the haircut. Find something. Ladies, don't compliment a man because women be tripping nowadays, but find something to compliment. That's so important. How do you know each other? This is a good one, right? Because they'll tell you the longevity of the relationship, and oftentimes it'll go elsewhere. They'll start talking about different things. Thank them and be sincere. Right? There's a thank you slide in the beginning. We want to value your time. That's important, and be sincere about it, because we know this presentation, right, is so helpful, is so educational. We know that we're going to be dropping some seeds, and they're going to take heed, and we're going to give them thoughts in their mind about certain things that they have going on in their head. If it's the right type of appointment. If it's one-legged, whole nother story. But if they're married, young couple, young children, have a job, only have group, maybe have whole life, they're going to be listening. If they're responsible, they're going to be listening. We're going to drop seeds. All right. Use questions, use involvement questions on the quadrants slide. 4 ways to protect your income. Do you own life insurance outside of your job? Automatically you start thinking like, man, what does that mean? Do I own life insurance outside of your job? Because guess what? When you go through that group insurance slide, and you destroy it, when you go through the actively at work requirement, when you play that video, they're thinking, man, I don't own life insurance outside of my job, right? Think about that actively at work requirement right now during the pandemic, right? If you come in contact with someone who has the virus, right? I asked them, what are you instructed to do? What do they tell you to do? They say quarantine. I say, for how long? They say 2 to 3 weeks. Exactly. You're not actively working. So what could that potentially mean for your group insurance? It gets them thinking because they know you're not actively working, right? And when you're not actively working, even when you're pregnant, your benefits go to FMLA. So what does that mean for your group insurance? Potentially, you do not have that. It's risky, right? So we got to understand those different clauses within that group insurance. We really got to hit home on that, right? Amendment. They can amend it and not even tell you. This is for Ty and Jada. You're gonna amend my policy. Something happened to me and my husband, right? And you're in control of it. I'm not. That's a problem. I have a problem with that, right? Do you know what kind it is and how it works? A lot of people don't even know the type of insurance they have through their job. A lot of the times it's whole life. Sometimes it's accidental death, right? So you got to get them thinking. You got to disturb them. Your presentation has to disturb. It has to educate yet disturb. Get them thinking because now they want more information from you. That's so important, right? The presentation, give a compelling and disturbing presentation with questions and stories to create a sense of urgency for someone with no life insurance or very little life insurance, right? So here's the thing about this presentation, you guys. It is absolutely amazing if you present it right, okay? It's a bunch of words on the screen, right? You don't want to just read. You want to insert stories in different places. You want to grasp their attention. You want to be transparent. You want to be relatable, right? You want them to understand this is where I was, this is where I am, this is where I'm going, right? The greatest thing about the presentation that I've learned, I never want them to think, no, I'm better than you. No, 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 no. We live from Friday to Monday, paycheck to Monday. We had the wrong type of life insurance. I had a whole life on a child, you all, a child. I had a Gerber life, stinking Gerber life because of the name on my son. Because I saw the commercial. I remember it like it was yesterday. I saw the commercial. I had just had Ty. I saw the stupid commercial. I was like, oh, 100,000. Let me sign my son up for that. Just idiotic. No education on life insurance. I got excited about something I saw on TV. It didn't have any information, right? So the presentation that we have, it'll have you thinking. This wasn't even the presentation that Shaq showed T and Shay, but when he was going through, I'm like, wait, hold up. I think I had whole life on my son. I know I had it on myself, but I really didn't understand what I had on Ty. It was her whole life through Gerber life. He broke it down. He destroyed it. He created that doubt. He had that disturbing presentation. He had the stories, right, that caught my attention. If they have none or very little, they need someone to help them see their immediate need. That is an immediate need. I tell people we're living in a pandemic. I told you guys a few weeks ago, Sheila and I sat down with a couple. The wife was pregnant and she was getting ready to go into have a C-section Sunday, right? No insurance. So my question was to her was, Mrs. Client, do you feel comfortable going into the hospital during a pandemic to have your baby with no life insurance? How does that make you feel? Do you feel at ease? Do you feel settled? She didn't. She became a client. She thought about it. You know what? I never even thought, well, yeah, you're going to the hospital where a lot of people are that are sick, right? We're understaffed in the hospitals because there's so many people sitting in the hospital with this virus, and you're going to go in there, have a C-section with no insurance. That's just double dumb. Essentially is what I was saying without saying it. She became a client. She didn't have anything, right? One, because she was on maternity leave. So yes, she had the group insurance, but she was on maternity leave, which means she didn't have the group insurance. And we all know that if you have group insurance, what? You have no insurance. So I had to get her to understand that. That appointment lasted 3 hours because I was going back and forth with her, right? And she was understanding, but she had a ton of questions, which made sense. So that presentation that we have, you all, it's amazing. It's words on a screen, but you got to do your part, right? You have to create that urgency. If they only have group or if they don't have anything, you got to disturb them. You got to insert stories, right? The greatest, one of the greatest leaders of all time is Jesus Christ. What did he do? He went from city to city telling parables. Some kicked, some spit, some threw stones, but a lot of people followed. That's the same thing with this presentation, right? It's not that serious, but it is, right? Some people oftentimes will jump on board and some won't. But we got to make sure we do our part. We got to make sure we tell those stories. We disturb them. We create that sense of urgency. That's important. Destroy group life insurance. Never, 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 ever, ever depend on group life insurance. Never, never, ever, ever. I had prospected a young lady some time ago, a Spanish woman, and her husband had group insurance. He was in construction. He had actually passed away. The group insurance policy was for 300,000. Because he missed a signature, they did not pay out. Because he missed a signature, they did not pay out. Okay, first off, when the application was taken, you didn't see that that signature was missed. So you wait until the client dies to say you missed a signature, so we're not going to pay out. That's ridiculous. Never, 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 ever, ever, ever depend on group life insurance. Show the certificate. Break that certificate down. That state of Maryland certificate is everything. It has the clauses, right? It breaks it down, right? We talk about the termination, right? Ramon on our team, his mom's friend had a group certificate through GW Hospital. 41 years, she was a registered nurse. She was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had to leave work for treatment. She called to check to see about her group insurance. Come to find out, she was terminated. Why was she terminated? Well, she had left work, right, to get treatment, which means she wasn't actively working. And also the premium wasn't coming out of her paycheck because she wasn't working. They terminated her, didn't even call and tell her that she was terminated. She's in the hospital getting treatment. She calls with her son to check on it. She's terminated. $250,000 group certificate, not paid. Never, 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 ever, ever depend on group life insurance. Funny bacon, is there a way you would ever knowingly put money there? You got to destroy whole life. You've got to destroy whole life. That bank A and bank B is self-explanatory. Higher rate of return, lower rate of return. I don't know about you all. I've run into a couple of people sometimes. They don't understand what higher rate of return or lower rate of return is. You got to break that down. You got to get them to understand what that is, right? Liquid versus they keep it. That's a no-brainer. I don't want you keeping the money that's for my family when I pass away. If I built up money in my retirement, right? Or if there's an emergency, I don't want to borrow it. That's my money. I don't want to go to Navy Federal and borrow my hard-earned money that's in my account. I don't want to have to borrow that, right? If I pass away, that should go to my survivors, not to the daggone bank. You got to break that. You got to get them to understand that this is what you have, right? It does not belong to you. If you found you had unknowingly put money there, how would you feel, right? How would it make them feel? I felt like crap. I felt like crap having a whole life insurance policy. I felt not educated. I felt ripped off. I was angry. And then I had the nerve to call an agent the next day. Shaq told me to call him. He said, ask him what type of policy he has. And he had term. I was upset, right? What would you do about it? I got the heck up out of it. I canceled it, right? We got approved for our term. I canceled it. I got rid of it. I terminated that whole life policy. Added tie to ours. Right? So these are things, right? You see how I insert the stories. I talk about me having whole life. I had a whole life, so I can talk about it because that's what I had. I can destroy it. I can tell you why I had it because I had no discipline in saving money. So it attracted me the fact when I invest my premium every month, some would go to insurance and some would go towards my retirement. That attracted me because in my 401k, I would build up money. I would take it out. Just dumb. I would take it out. So I tell that story oftentimes to get them to understand, listen, this is where I was, this is where I am. Now I'm educated on insurance. I know what I'm doing now. I get it, right? Identify. This is big too, man. This is huge. This right here is a game changer because you learn about people, right? As you go through the presentation, this is useful in life. Identify the personality traits. S is star, right? I'm sorry, this is the structured technical action relationship. These are the different personality traits. S is they're highly professional, emphasize stability, the crusade long term. This is Gabrielle May, structured, my little Shondell. But this is important, right? Because they want you to be professional. They want to understand the crusade of what it is that we do. They want to understand every moving part of our business, right? You can't come in with that A-type personality, Donald, that we do very well, right? We can't come in with that. We got to break things down. We got to get them to understand T, technical, emphasize, financial independence number, F&A, financial needs analysis, and the power of compound interest, right? My husband is a T. Where he at? He not in my room, is he? He's a T. I'm not even going to lie. It drives me to drink, because he be teeing me all the time, like, okay, I don't know. You figure that out, right? But you got to understand when you're sitting